From Providence, Rhode Island, in the Minute with Mary studio, welcome to the Potterverse. It's a podcast dedicated to the book and film universe of Harry Potter. So grab your favorite wands and time turners. Let's step into the night and pursue that flighty temptress adventure. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. My name is Mary Larson.
My name is Blake, and sometimes I wish I had as much control over myself as Professor McGonagall does in this chapter.
Nice.
Because the way that she just gives it to Umbridge is perfect.
It is so beautifully calculated. You know, listening to this chapter and rereading it again made me think of all the times in my life where I would have a situation and then I'd go home and I'd replay it and I was like, I should have said this and then I should have said that. Or preemptively, when you're thinking about something, this is what I'm going to say, but then I always royally mess it up. Professor McGonagall nailed it. And I firmly believe that girlfriend got that notification that she's going to be observed by Umbridge, and she sat down and planned this all out.
It's perfect. I wonder, said Professor McGonagall in a cold fury, turning on Professor Umbridge, how you expect to gain an idea of my usual teaching methods if you continue to interrupt me. You see, I do not generally permit people to talk when I am talking. Oh, it's almost as good as I had low expectations and you certainly met them.
Yes.
Oh, that's a great.
Like, I feel like
Outlander
McGonagall
reference.
got the scoop the day before from the teacher's lounge. You know, we always, like maybe Madame Pomfrey was like, she came and checked me out for health class, which they don't have. But or flip, like someone told her she's gonna hem all the time.
Oh.
And then McGonagall was like, yep, I got this.
Can I also talk about how I do not like the way that Jim Dale does the hem?
How would you do it?
I pictured it the same exact way that what's her name does it in the movie. Hem, like that, like sweet little.
Yes.
I
always read it as.
Yeah.
How would you write that? But that's how I would do it.
Yeah, but the way Jim Dale does it is hem.
I know, which is amazing.
It's like wow.
You can see that upsets McGonagall.
But like the sweet little, like that.
Yes.
That I think would be even more annoying.
Agreed.
Because
because it's so preciously sweet.
What the hell's that lady's name?
Imelda?
Imelda Staunton. That's
You're welcome.
Right. Yeah, thank you. By the way, speaking
of
that,
name, I know.
Going to be on the final season of The Queen. Mary and I are covering The Queen
in 10 days from the day that we're recording this.
That's right.
So if you are a fan of The Crown, the series on Netflix, know that you can get it's an exclusive podcast that we offer for our Patreon supporters who are members at jointhenerdclan.com. And as if that weren't enough to get super access to the podcast, also by joining this month at that same level that gets you access to the Crown podcast, you also get a holiday card from us.
Yeah.
Now you need to be signed up for the holiday card before Thanksgiving. If you sign up after Thanksgiving, you may or may not get the holiday card. And this is going to worldwide, my friend. So just because you live in a different country doesn't mean you're not going to be able to get some holiday wishes from the littlest state of the 50
What is
states.
like the exact opposite of where we are? Like, would it be Australia?
Bali? Yeah,
Sure,
Australia
Bali.
or Bali. Yes.
Yeah, if you find yourself living in Bali and you want yourself a holiday card, we're going to send it to you.
Yeah, I promise you. So, but especially those people who want it before Thanksgiving, which you don't celebrate Thanksgiving. That's the end of November, okay? So make sure it's here. I think it's the 23rd of November.
Let's just say by December.
They don't celebrate American
Let's just say by
Thanksgiving.
December 1st. That way it's easy.
Nope. Sorry.
For everybody.
Nope. Just November 23rd. I'm telling you.
All right, let's do November.
Says the man who isn't going to be mailing it. November 23rd is Thanksgiving U.S. Day.
Yeah, so, but let's give them till that Saturday. So the 25th. No? Okay, fine. The 23rd. Got to be signed up by the 23rd.
Otherwise, Blake will mail yours, and you may get it by St. Patrick's Day. You never know.
You know what? You're still getting it.
Okay, so if you sign up at jointhenerdclan.com, you're going to get access to the free podcast of Covering the Crown. Plus, you're going to get a holiday card. Plus, you know that you're supporting this mom and pop podcast shop. And I will say at the next level of patronage, you actually get a holiday gift as well,
yes. Yeah.
which we came up with an amazing gift this year.
Yeah, it's a cool gift, man.
Yes.
I like it.
Check that on out. All right. On that note, I don't know how we just got into that, but Imelda. That's how we got
Imelda Staunton.
There we go. The chapter is 15 and it is the Hogwarts High Inquisitor. And here is our quote. Yeah, Quirrell was a great teacher, said Harry loudly. There was just that minor drawback of him having Lord Voldemort sticking out of the back of his head. This pronouncement was followed by one of the loudest silences Harry had ever heard. Then, I think another week's detention would do you some good, Mr. Potter, said Umbridge sleekly.
Oh, brutal. Sleekly.
Loved that.
How would you...
I loved loudest silences and sleekly.
How do you interpret... Well, you know what? Let's save that. Let's save it for the rest of the show, shall we?
Okay. Well, yeah, let's get into the show.
All right, let's do it.
I solemnly swear that I'm up to no good.
All right, so as I said before, this is the chapter, the Hogwarts High Inquisitor, and in this chapter, if you haven't read it for a little while, it's the one in which Umbridge is made the Hogwarts High Inquisitor. That role is created, and she's the inaugural one. Harry just loses it left and right, okay? He can't handle this anymore. He's like me at Thanksgiving with my family.
And that's saying something.
I'm usually nice. I'm very nice, guys. Okay, and then also he has more detention, which is not good. Umbridge visits a bunch of the different professors in class, some of which go well, some of which does not. And then at the very end, Hermione decides to break all rules and see if Harry can become their own teacher of defense against the dark arts. Dun, dun, dun. Love it. I love this chapter so much.
All right, so let's talk about it first. Let's ask the question that I was going to ask.
Yes.
How do you interpret sleekly?
I interpret it vocally with a little bit.
No, when reading minds, of course, vocally.
No, because sleekly could also be body-wise.
Oh, okay. All right, fair.
Like a sleek kind of look and glare. But vocally, I'm hearing it with very clear, very concise.
Okay.
She's enunciating herself properly, but with her sweetness of the movie Hem that we were talking about. So I think another week's detentions would do you some good, Mr. Potter.
Oh, okay, good. I like it.
Sleekly.
Yep. All right, fair enough.
There we go.
All right, I'll take
How
it.
would you take it? I just loved that adjective.
No, I love that adjective too. Adjective as well.
Or is it an adverb?
No, yeah, you're right. That would be an
Adverb,
adverb. Yeah. That would be an adverb.
And then the loudest silences. I love this, especially as a musician.
Sure.
It's super important in music to know that silence and rests are part of the musical architecture, and that they're just as important as when you're playing and you're singing. It's a concept that I love to teach my students as well as these rests.
Yeah.
Let them sing.
Yes.
And so for this to be the loudest silences he had ever heard, I thought was brilliant writing.
Yeah. No, it is brilliant writing because, as it is in music, Mary, I think in writing and in direction, silence, even in conversation, silence is really important.
Simon and Garfunkel had it right. The sound of silence.
Allowing something to just rest, to have a beat. There's always a difficult time when you're in the middle of a conversation and you're having let's say a tense conversation with somebody, and then you ask a question and you allow that question to just hang in the air if they don't have an answer. And the longer that you let it hang in the air, the harder it is to answer sometimes. And you can use that silence as an advantage, right? So, and then putting that in a film or in a book or whatever, it just allows that to have more dramatic effect, if you will. And it's very hard to master that, I think. But I can totally see Umbridge being the master of this silence.
Agreed.
Agreed. And McGonagall too. I think McGonagall's probably better at it than Umbridge. I feel
she's even sleeker.
Yeah,
with her silence.
My guess is that McGonagall has 0.0 problem with silence. she'll say something and just stare and look at you. At least that's the way that I take it from the films.
You know, we were talking earlier about McGonagall kind of maybe getting the heads up. So Snape was evaluated by Umbridge the day before.
Yes.
And I would have loved to know how that went. Do you think Snape gave McGonagall the heads up about the hem? I do. I think that they have a little friendship. Granted, it's in the canonic fiction that I've read. But I think that there's a little friendship there where he'll be like, guys, just so you know, she hems the entire time. Entire time. She even measured my nose.
Oh.
No? You don't think he would have done it?
Part of me thinks he would, and then there's another part of me that would have him just say, it's your problem.
Okay.
That's for you to figure out.
Would he be on Umbridge's side? Do you think that he's down with Umbridge? They're both Slytherins.
No, I don't think he's down with Umbridge.
Okay.
I don't think that he's down with her.
Okay.
I think he just generally dislikes people. And you know what?
Sounds like someone I know.
Sounds like somebody I know. It begins with a B and it ends with a lake. And I think as long as it serves him, he'll be cool with people. Mm-hmm. And if it doesn't serve him, you're on the outs.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
We, of course, start this chapter with the Daily Prophet coming in, and right away, right in our face, is what Percy was talking about the chapter before. Ministry seeks educational reform. Dolores Umbridge appointed first ever High Inquisitor. And through this, we kind of get some interesting fun facts. We get like a Lucius Malfoy interview, Percy Weasley interview.
Yeah.
We get even some facts that elders, Wizarding Mott elders Griselda Marchbanks and Tiberius Ogden have resigned in protest because of this post of the Inquisitor to Hogwarts. I mean, this is the way that they're standing up, and they are kind of saying that we don't agree with this. But then the Daily Prophet goes on to smear Griselda Marchbanks. You know, if you want to read more about the naughty things that they did, or is it somebody else that they kind of just drudged through to bring them down. Whereas Lucius Malfoy, Mr. Death Eater, he's put on this high pedestal. And it just goes to show you the power that the government has inside of this publication over, with all the news and the coverage that they get to have, that this is really the one big paper that people are reading. Not a lot of people are reading the Quibbler, for example.
Doubtful. And
the people with money who have the power to influence the government, it's dangerous.
Yeah. It points to a much larger through line, if you will, that comes from people that hold the power. And it just so happens the people that have influence and money, a lot of them, seem to be buddies with Voldemort.
Yes.
At least the way that this world has been constructed by the author, right? Mm-hmm. So having said that, is there a clear connection, Mary, to, with money, to, I don't want to say evil, because I don't think that's the right term, but misguided opinion?
I definitely think that it's showing that a lot of times people who have money can buy their influence. People who have money or fame can easily sway the influential structure of their society.
Yeah.
I mean, even myself, being one that was previously in more mainstream media on television, I would see sometimes how people who were famous or who had money would get sometimes more screen time, would get some more invitations to different things, not necessarily because of the great things that they personally accomplished, but because of that influence, and maybe people in the media system wanted to have access to those things selfishly.
Sure.
Or wanted to be able to kind of cover those things. And so I think it's a really difficult thing, because on the flip side, Lucius Malfoy does make himself readily available. He's at the ministry. He has a position there. I mean, he's nonstop hanging on out there, and Lord knows maybe he spends his other days at the Daily Prophet. We don't know what his relationship is with the with the editors and the authors there, but one can only imagine that he buys them holiday gifts.
I would say so.
His assistant used to be Dobby, used to send them birthday cards. He knew how to keep those people close,
Sure,
so that he could call in favors. And a lot of people who are cunning in that nature, whether or not they be Slytherins, a lot of people who are cunning can know how to kind of play those things to their advantage. And it makes me sad that there aren't a lot of competing newspapers and sources out there to give different stories, because how is Seamus Finnegan's mom supposed to know the truth if there's not multiple sources?
I would say that I think the author is drawing a correlation here between money and, at the very least, moral ambiguity. Oh, bless you.
Thank you.
I think the moral ambiguity here is important, right? Because we already start to have this notion when Sirius talks about, the world isn't split up between good people and Death Eaters, right? There's a gray area. There's a moral ambiguity there, but also, like, let's look at Fudge and what he's trying to accomplish here. He creates this, I think, very poorly named position for Hogwarts, and he installs his, for the lack of a better term, lackey to go in there, right? Mm-hmm. And it's really all at his behest. Yes, I'm sure that Umbridge came up with the idea, and I'm sure that she was the one that said, hey, I have an idea. Let's do this so we have more control. But she's got to get the go-ahead, right, for that.
Yes.
And it's Fudge that does that. And that, to me, is representative, or at least prescriptive, of how far he's willing to go in stunting these kids' growth in Hogwarts for this generation. Like, we talked about that, I think, in previous chapters, but and for her to be able to say, like, look at things and say, hey, this might be an issue, to go from that to wholesale authority, evaluations, making changes. She has specific autonomy and authority to do whatever she pleases, to change whatever she wants. Oh man, that is some. If that's not a red flag, then I don't know what is.
It's
whether the person is good or bad. By
Yes.
the way, no one person should have that kind of influence over a body of people.
Yeah. I mean, it just goes to show you too, like, this school is somehow also governed by the Ministry of Magic. We haven't really heard of people paying. We've talked about this before.
Yeah.
Like, how do the Weasleys send these kids, and is there tuition, and is there financial aid? Like, for all we know, if you're a wizard and you live around the UK, you're going to Hogwarts. And this, to me, makes it seem like it's a publicly funded school, and henceforth the government does get to have a bit of a say, because it's public funds that are going to fund this school, and they can kind of make these choices, just like our public schools. The governmental bodies, whether it's school committee or superintendents, who are also voted in members of the government, get to make sometimes these decisions that aren't necessarily the most educationally sound. And we're seeing a lot of that now in the post-COVID situation in schools. A lot of schools, too, are suffering big time. And so you're going to see over the next 5 years, we're going to continue to have, whether it's different standardized testings or different big changes in some of our school systems, as the government kind of tries to have like a knee-jerk reaction to what happened, but it's not necessarily what's best for that particular school, for that particular student body. As a teacher myself, I would have to be peer evaluated by other teachers in the schools that I was in the private school that I had been in. And then in the public school that I taught in, it was more the principal and vice principal who would come in and evaluate you. But it was always people who knew the school,
Right.
who knew the student body, who knew the flow. And I can only imagine, I did actually have the superintendent come and watch me a couple of times. But I can only imagine if you're having this level of an evaluation done by someone who has no idea what it is that
Right.
you do. This woman isn't founded in education. She doesn't have an education background herself. And yet here she is, and she gets to be the one that judges them. How scary must that be for these teachers who've been doing this for so long?
That's got to be terrifying, to be honest. And let's tie it back to the beginning of this podcast, Mary, where that, I think, is a real show of strength from McGonagall to turn around and, tell this lady where her place is. Right? Like, no way you belong, right? I don't got any problem with you being here, but you got to actually let me teach.
Yeah.
how can you even evaluate me, right? That either shows one of two things, right? Like strength and courage, or real confidence in her position.
I think it's her Gryffindor bravery coming on out.
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised.
There you go.
I wouldn't be surprised.
There you go.
So I think it's a big deal. And on the other hand, too, I think we can both agree, Mary, that the Daily Prophet is essentially state-run media. Would you agree with that?
Yes. By the way that it's handled, I totally agree.
Yeah, I think so. And given the influence that you would imagine that someone like Lucius Malfoy and then thereby Cornelius Fudge would have on the Daily Prophet, it's interesting to note that even with the story being written about it and all the crap being said about Harry in between books 4 and 5, there's still this modicum of like two sides being presented in the Daily Prophet, where someone gets to, Madam Marchbanks gets to voice her displeasure.
In Ogden, yes.
That to me screams of like a CYA facade. A cover your
your booty.
Cover your booty facade. Do you think that's there on purpose just to make sure that...
Yes. I think they're including... Here are some of the facts, but then at the very end, a full account of Madame Marchbanks' alleged links to subversive goblin groups. Turn to page 17. I mean, they take that they stood up and they left because of this, but then they go and they discredit Madame Marchbanks.
Yeah.
So... yeah, no, it is very sneakily done. Fun fact,
Or
Madame
would it be
Marchbanks...
sleekly done?
Sleekly done. Madame Marchbanks and our Mr. Ogden, they will be coming back to administer the OWL exams.
Yes.
So Dinah Fash, they come on back. And that also goes to kind of that belief of that this is a publicly funded, more of that standardized testing, that they're actually having like ministry official type people come on in to facilitate these standardized tests.
Speaking of the OWLs and the grading system here,
Yes.
I find the idea that Hermione does not know how the grading system works to be 100% full of crap.
I completely agree.
And I understand the need for this particular beat in the story, or at least in this chapter, right? Because the author has to explain to you what the grading system is.
But Hermione could have left. Hermione could have easily come on in and been like, oh, this is my grade. What's yours? Oh, never mind. I need to go find something. And she could have gone off. She didn't even need to be in this conversation.
That's what I'm saying.
This could have easily been a conversation
Should have been
with
with
the
Ron.
twins, Ron and Harry.
Should have been Ron. Because Ron, I would totally understand Ron not getting it.
Agreed. Ron lives his life day to day, okay?
Yeah.
If it's not a today need to know situation, then Ron is not here for it. He doesn't need to know the scoring of the OWLs.
Totally agree. And if you wanted to make an argument that he would know it because his siblings would have gone through the process, okay, fine, I'll figure it out.
I feel like Percy just came home, got some more O's, Mom, got another E, got mostly O's, and that's all Ron would have heard. I feel like he would have had a basic understanding of what an O was. I don't. Precious Ron, no. He would, he would zone that out. Percy and maybe Charlie would come home over holiday break and talk about stuff, and Ron was too busy eating hand pies to care about how many O's or E's or whatever they got. And then when Fred and George came home, who were, of course, his closest in age, his mom was probably so upset she wouldn't bring it up. She's
Good
probably
point.
like, this is sacred family time.
Yeah,
I'm not
don't
talking
even talk
about
about
the peas. However, let's go over it for a second. So O is outstanding, which is essentially like our A. E exceeds expectations, which is a B. And I loved how the twins were like, we should have definitely got that because we exceeded everyone's expectations. You could see them just doing like a high five. A. What was A?
Acceptable.
Thank you.
I got you.
P is poor.
Yes.
And that would be kind of like our D. And D, dreadful.
Disgrace.
E, And then the twins joke that there's T, which maybe would be like the equivalent of the F, the complete fail, but it's called troll. And I feel like everything else was such a wonderful adjective, and then
Sure.
troll. So we are left scratching our heads because there's no confirmation in these books if T troll actually is grading or not. But Harry is now afraid that he is going to get T's on all of his papers. But that's just a fun thing that they throw it in.
Yeah.
And once again, Ron was too busy eating hand pies to actually know the grading system if his siblings ever covered it.
Right.
So
why do you think the author chose to have Hermione be the one for the exposition dump, right? Because again, this is when you need something like of this kind of exposition. You need to be able to describe something, and it has to come naturally. It has to come.
I don't think the students in the past have really gone over what did you get? What was your physical grade? You know, they knew if they did well, they knew who was the top of the class, but it wasn't like this graded thing that had this massive weight. And what's so fun is that at the age that they're at 15, this is more like our 10th grade here in the US system.
Yes.
This is when we too, as high schoolers, would really start to care about our grades. If you care about, this may not have been you, Blake, but if you care about your ranking and where you are in your class and you're trying to get, say, in the top half, the top third, top 20, top 10, maybe you're trying to vie for valedictorian or salutatorian. And I've got to tell you, as one of the people who may or may not have been in these higher level classes, it was cutthroat.
No,
Okay?
God, please, no,
You would have
no,
basically the Hermiones in the class
no.
sitting down, sneaking a peek to see did somebody so one of my best friends in high school was valedictorian. If he did not get a 96 or above,
Oh my god.
or whatever would be the equivalent of an A plus, 97 or above, 97 or above, or maybe even 98, whatever it was. If he didn't get that, he
You're
was on high
basic.
alert with the other person vying. There were like 2 other people vying for valedictorian. No joke. People would like cover their things. You could just tell they would turn beet red because now they're going down. And so I was in the top 20 of my class. And I got to tell you,
Such a dork.
sophomore year, you were on it. You were like, what is my grade? Where is my point system? Where am I within this level of my students? So I 100% see Hermione being like, this now matters immensely.
Yes.
Fun. I think too, she kind of has like a slice of like, oh, I didn't get an O. How'd you guys do?
True.
I didn't get an O. How fun that he like graded this pretend to see what we're doing. We all have room for improvement. You know, so I think she almost says it to them because she's not perfect. Usually she gets such high grades, so she kind of feels like one of the guys. You know, oh, this is how it is for you lowly idiots.
For you plebes.
Yeah, oh yes. Oh, this is how it is.
You know what I have to say to that, Mary?
You're basic.
You're basic. Worrying about your rank in school.
What do you mean?
Oh my god.
It's important. Stressed me out so much. I was out sick for half of my junior year.
Exactly. What are you
Oh my
stressing
God.
out?
I had migraine headaches and then I had stomach issues. We couldn't figure it out. We thought I was dying. This is real,
when
guys.
you know you've gone a little too far.
We thought I was dying. This is before people actually knew that like kids could have anxiety and that anxiety could cause physical altercations. Everyone's putting me every test through the ringer. And then eventually they're like, you may be stressed. And I was like, yeah, I've been super stressed because this is my junior year and it's super important. Then I started to get sick and I started to miss school. I started to miss school in the most important year of my scholastic life. And then I was missing even more school. And then they started to send tutors home from the school because I was freaking out so much, and it compounded. And once we figured it out that it was anxiety making me sick, thanks 90s for not knowing that, I started kite flying and I got better. I would go outside and I would fly kites.
Wait, you would go fly kites?
I would fly. That's, yes.
I feel like that's something you tell somebody, hey, go fly a kite, will
I
ya?
really did. I was like, I
You
need
took
to.
it literally.
Yeah, I would go and be outside in
tutor-
nature and fly a kite.
The tutor was like,
Mary
Mary,
Poppins came out, man.
Mary, go fly a kite, will ya?
Up to the highest height.
Get out of here with
Send
your
it soaring.
with your trigonometry. Go fly a kite. And you're like, okay. And you actually go do fly a kite.
Those weren't the subjects that stressed me out.
What stressed
Math-
you out?
It was history.
Really?
It was always history. I couldn't remember their names, and I don't care. They're dead. I don't care if I know someone's first name. Leave me alone.
Oh, my goodness. Listen, I've said this now 1,000 times. I will say it again. For our younger listeners that are out there, if your history teachers are telling you to memorize names and dates, they are wrong. And this comes from somebody who has a degree in history. I went to school for history, the whole point. One of my favorite professors ever said, don't memorize names and dates. It's not gonna work. We have books for that.
Yeah.
Understand the why.
Well, this
Why
would've
does
helped.
everything happen? If you can understand the why, you can always reference the name.
And this would have been great in divination class. Divination class, which later this year is going to be taught by Forensi. Another person who is not necessarily someone that Umbridge would like. Let's be real. This whole school is full of people that Umbridge wouldn't like. Oddly enough, she seems to treat Flitwick okay, even though Flitwick is half goblin. But in the movie, they show that she's, derogatory against him by measuring him. Like, get out of here, jerk. So divinity class, however, does have divination. Thank you. Divinity. They're not studying the Bible. Divination class. Thank you, Blake.
I got you. You're just making up words
Just
left and right.
Left and right. It's not like I do this
It
professionally.
was physical altercations before.
What's wrong with that?
Because an altercation is a fight.
There were a lot of those in my high school.
Yeah, I bet there were.
Man, not with me. Not with me.
Oh my goodness. You're talking about physical symptoms.
Yeah.
There you
Sorry.
go. Just making up stuff.
Man, oh man.
Or-
You need to take over.
Or
Divination.
no. What
What? What?
was
Blake?
the word that you said? Posthumous.
Posthumously. Yes. That someone was honored after death. Posthumously.
Mary was having this really serious conversation with me.
Yes, this person earned this award. Oh.
She was having this really serious conversation, and she's saying, this person, they ended up getting this award, and it was meant for this person, but their wife had to come, so she accepted the award posthumously. And I just let her finish the sentence, and I couldn't stop laughing.
Is that how you actually say it?
Posthumously.
Posthumously. So I have never, in my brain, I've always read it posthumously. Just like I've always said the word epitome.
It's not even an R.
I don't know. I just went with it. I saw like the first 5 letters and I was like, I got this. Brain just went in. But just like
Autopilot.
epitome, I didn't know how that was written until a listener wrote something and I called it an epitome. But I've said epitome my entire life. Words that were obviously not covered in spelling growing up. Posthumously.
I remember my...
How is it?
Posthumously.
So it's not even post.
It's not even post.
What the heck?
I mean, it
English.
starts...
Exactly.
It starts with a P-O-S-T.
Yeah, that
So-
says post.
No, well, yes, but the way that it...
If it's past, it should be P-A-H. Or at least just P-A. Like
Or-
pasta.
Or P-R, P-A-R.
Yeah.
Posthumously.
Posthumously. Yeah, they should spell it correctly. English language, posthumously. Anyway.
Okay, sorry. That was just so funny.
Divination.
Divination.
I feel so bad for Trelawney because once again, this teacher is correct. She says you are in grave danger, which, truth be told, Umbridge is at the end of this book as she is chased out by the centaurs and taken away.
Yeah.
So there is grave danger in her forecast. Trelawney doesn't get enough credibility for the things that she does right because people aren't necessarily able to connect the dots unless you do a podcast about it 20 years later or so.
Good point.
But, we need to remember that Professor Trelawney was brought to Hogwarts 16 years ago.
Right.
Because she is this distant granddaughter of this remarkable seer, and she made the prediction about who would defeat the Dark Lord.
Yes.
She made this prophecy. Now, of course, she made another prophecy just 2 years ago to Harry. So girlfriend does have some juice in her, okay? She's not all cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
No, totally agree.
But is divination something that can be learned? Or is it just something that you're innately given? And really, is there a point to being taught this class?
All right, so this is a great question that I often asked myself in a lot of
Did
classes.
you, Blake? Oh, in other classes. I thought you were saying that you've often asked yourself this about Sybil
About
Trelawney's
divination.
divination class. Okay.
No, in other classes,
Yes.
when you take trigonometry. Like
Love it. Here for it.
Like why I'm never going to use trigonometry in my life. Perhaps I do at some point, but more than likely, I would say 99.9% of my life.
Trigonometry and its functions have an enormous number of uses in our daily life.
Oh my
For
God.
instance, it is used in geography to measure the distance between landmarks, in astronomy to measure the distance of nearby stars, and also in the satellite navigation systems.
If I got to read distance between two landmarks on a map, I just read the map. I don't need trig.
Did you
to
actually
read the
take
map.
trig? Did you
Yeah, I did.
really?
Yeah, in my
Okay.
senior year of high school.
Okay.
I never, but and I'm not measuring the distance to stars. I'm going to let some nerd take care of that. Okay, that's what they're there for. But is it something with which I should be familiar and understand, at least conceptually?
Well, I will tell you, it is important when measuring heights of buildings or mountains.
Good.
Creating
Get a
videograms,
measuring tape.
Creating construction, flight engineering, physics, criminology, marine biology, marine engineering, navigation. So I got to say, as a high school student, you don't know what you're going to be. Are you going to be a marine biologist?
Again,
Are you going to be an astronomer? You don't
Again,
know.
it comes down to this: should it be something with which I should be familiar?
I think you could say.
I would say yes.
Okay.
You should be familiar with it. So I see the value in taking it because it could unlock something in you to say, oh, wow, I like this. Like, yeah, man, I want to be an astronomer. I want to learn about the stars and how far away they are and all that other crap, right? Like, I think you should be exposed to it. The roundabout answer to this is yes. I think students in Hogwarts, given the social practices of wizards, this is the trig of the Hogwarts and wizard life. Are you really going to end up having the sight? Are you really going to end up dreaming up some prophecy or finding tea leaves or whatever? Probably not, but you should at least be familiar with it.
Well, and who knows whose powers are there that are untapped. People didn't know
Exactly.
that Harry was a parcel tongue.
Exactly.
So who's to say that like Lavender Brown also isn't a seer? I agree with you. I think exposure is fantastic. I also think that maybe some of these arts and some of these bits that they learn in class are things that if people really wanted to fine tune, they could become better in. Maybe there's a faint glimmering of it, but if you really practice, say, tea leaves, maybe you do get better at it.
Right.
And I think that it gives more credibility to the people who end up doing that, who are witches and wizards.
Do you
So I
wish
agree
we
with you.
kind of got more of divination? Or
think
are
we
you
get a
happy
lot
to
of
use
it.
it? Are you happy to have it just as kind of the plot device that it is?
I love it for the plot device, but I especially love it going back through the rereading and seeing how many things actually are true and how many things are connected and how
Yeah.
Sybil Trelawney, yes, she's a wild one, but she doesn't get what she deserves, in my opinion.
So let's talk about Hermione here a little bit because she hates divination, number one. But also in this chapter, she takes the time to kind of stand out and be like, yeah, I read this whole book in a week. And it's kind of useless.
This isn't in divination.
No. In Defense Against the Dark
okay,
Arts.
sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, I may not have said that. I had a whole conversation in my
That's
head.
right.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, I read that whole book in a week. And it's useless. So, like, I think that in and of itself is also kind of, I don't want to say out of character because she has stood up for people and her ideals, but to be so pointed in that way, I would expect that from Harry.
It's her Gryffindor coming out. She and McGonagall, who often lean into the Ravenclaw-ish tendencies of Gryffindor, their Gryffindor is in full effect in
Yes.
this chapter, as it is here. And then, of course, Hermione's had it at the end of this chapter and decides that they need to take things into their own hands. And I find this just such a fitting time. 15 years old, I feel like, is a lot of time when teens begin to question their authority figures and begin to question their teachers in life. And you kind of see the teachers in your life for the humans that they really are. And understanding that either A, the adult figures in your life are ever learners. They're not going to be perfect. They're not going to know every single answer to every question, but at least they're there to guide you. I feel like Lupin is a great one in that one. He's not perfect whatsoever. He probably doesn't know every single creature and every single dark arts thing, but you can learn alongside them and have that guidance. Whereas other teachers are going to pretend that they know everything.
Sure.
And that they're the end all be all like Umbridge. And I think Hermione is sick of this.
Is there a reason why you think that Umbridge is essentially following Harry around? Like, like in these classes, like she seems to be in the same classes doing these evaluations at the same time Harry is in these classes.
Oh, I think it's perfectly convenient and lovely, and when she has the opportunity to, let's do it. Obviously, she wasn't with him the day before.
Yeah.
But 100% she is following Harry. I mean, she's the one that sent the Dementors at the beginning of this school year, summertime. So, yeah, she is out to try to catch Harry, to see what he's up to see what kind of influence he has over his peers, to see if the teachers are kind of leaning into this, because she's now seen his outbursts in class. She's seen him talk about Voldemort, cause a massive disturbance. So if I was able to choose, if I was Umbridge, and if I was able to choose my schedule of when I'm going to be doing these evaluations, yeah, I will be going the entire day pretty much with Harry Potter.
Right.
Because it kills two birds with one stone.
My reread of this book, I think, has illuminated how in tune Umbridge is with Harry. And not like, oh, we understand each other, but how very pointed she is on his presence and the things that she is doing, not only to punish him, right? Because eventually his scar is written over so much here that it becomes permanent, but like to kind of needle him. Yeah, like to perfectly and distinctly needle him into saying or to doing something. And it just feels like, like when you're a kid, you always feel like, oh, that teacher has it out for me. That teacher hates me and this and that. In this case, if Harry were to say that, he'd kind of be right.
Agreed. Well, we're going to take a moment to tell you a bit about our sponsor, and then actually we're going to finish the rest of this podcast in a little bit because we have to pick up our kids. But This is the beauty of being able to do our own podcasting. So I did want to remind you all that this episode is brought to you by minutewithmary.com. It's your one-stop shop for all things makeup and skincare related. In addition to being a mom and a podcaster and a music teacher, I also love to help people feel more confident. And this month of recording in November, I actually have a handy dandy calendar, like a holiday calendar that I can share with you. Ooh, look at that. So 12 full-size items, 52% off. It's going to cover your makeup, your skincare. Very easy to use, great for all skin types and ages and skin tones. It covers lashes and lips and your skin and brushes, all sorts of things. Some of my favorite items are thrown into this. So you could find this in so many more holiday items at minutewithmary.com this entire month. Just search the hashtag Minute with Mary. It's another way to support this mom and pop podcast shop. So as I said, this item right here, it's only available during the month of November 2023, as it is my holiday special while supplies last. What I love about it is you can either treat yourself 12 individual times, or you can break this on up and gift it to others. So if you have teachers in your life, or daughters, or nieces, or sisters, or anybody, you could have actually 12 different gifts right then and there at 52% off. A nice smattering of the items that I love at Minute with Mary. So thank you so much for being a supporter at minutewithmary.com.
Treat yourself.
Treat yourself.
All right, Marvin, there's one other thing I want to talk about here, and that is this. Harry takes a really interesting approach to his detentions and the scar that's now being formed permanently on his hand. And that is, he chooses to keep everything from McGonagall, not necessarily because, he wants to burden himself or because it's the right thing to do, but because he wants to spare McGonagall, right? He wants to save her, or at least shield her from the idea of getting sacked, because there is this notion that, okay, well, the High Inquisitor can pretty much do anything that he chooses, or he or she chooses. And who is to say that there's not going to be this new edict that says, hey, if you disagree with the High Inquisitor in any capacity, you're going to get fired.
Yeah.
Right? What do you think that is saying about Harry's characterization, and if there's any kind of growth for his character?
I mean, I wouldn't. Growth is so tricky, right? Because all growth isn't necessarily positive growth. It's not always necessarily in your best interests and doesn't help you in many ways. But I think Harry is becoming more protective. I think Harry is. He just saw his classmate die. He knows that most of the world doesn't believe him. Even some classmates who were there when the classmate appeared dead don't believe him, don't believe Dumbledore. Dumbledore is MIA.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, McGonagall often has his back, but she's also been a bit standoffish. And I feel like he made so many connections with Dumbledore over the years, and now he's gone, that I feel like Harry is very protective. Harry feels like he can only count on himself. He can't trust adults. We saw what happened with Mad-Eye Moody last year. Not saying that McGonagall is going to be drinking Polyjuice potion, but I just think Harry's thinking, I have to do this.
Yeah.
I also don't want anyone else hurt. I made friends with Cedric last year, and we saw how that landed him. McGonagall has now told him multiple times to be wary of Umbridge. So, maybe he thinks she won't even necessarily have the power or the desire.
Yeah.
That she too may be fearful. I think he's realizing a lot of people are fearful of Umbridge.
Yeah, sure.
And he thinks no one's going to be able to help me anyway.
Yeah. Is there room for, I think, growth here in terms of Harry's perspective of Hogwarts? Like, if there's anybody that can do anything outside of me, it is someone like McGonagall. And if she's gone because, Umbridge has decided that she's out for whatever reason, that means Hogwarts, the school itself, is down another person that could potentially
Have his back,
or just for the sake of the school itself. Like, if McGonagall leaves, the school's a lesser school.
I think Harry would feel that way more likely if Ron or Hermione were taken away.
Okay.
And Hagrid, he's obviously missing Hagrid, and there's a big piece of him. I would like to say that he cares about McGonagall that much, but I don't think it's of that level yet.
Yeah.
I think it definitely is still more teacher-student. He doesn't go to her place for rock cakes and tell her about his day. And she has these bursts of humanity for him, or these bursts of excitement, but it's generally Quidditch related.
Yeah.
And I don't think he gets the warm fuzzies from McGonagall that would equal what he has, say, for Hagrid or what he has for Ron or Hermione.
What part of McGonagall's let's just say quiet defiance of Umbridge that she has?
How she handles her in class?
Yeah.
Okay.
What part of that do you think informs Harry's ultimate decision to lead Dumbledore's army? And obviously that conversation begins at the end of this chapter. And even though he has this very real moment at the end where he's like, I kind of lucked into all of this. I didn't do anything. Like, I'm a nobody. Like, yes, I was part of these things that have happened, but it's not because of me. What can I do? And
but how much of that is Harry's depression speaking? When people are dealing with grief or low times in their lives, they see things through not a rose-colored glasses, but a gray-colored glasses.
Sure.
And, if Harry really sat down and wrote down everything he has done, everything he has learned, the way he has grown with himself, from where he was living with the Dursleys to where he's now. And thank goodness for Ron, who lists things off left and right, that, at some point, some are luck, but when you keep adding these things up, it isn't just luck. It's perseverance, it's determination, it's bravery, it's drive. And I think that Harry misconstrues a lot of this as luck because it's more like survival based, but not everybody would survive this stuff.
I was getting the book here.
Yeah.
Just because this whole beat for this chapter is tremendous, because it allows all of the characters to be who they are, but in a way that best describes not only who they are, but where they're going. And if you'll just indulge me for a little bit here, I just want to read this.
I'll have some tea, and I will let you read.
I find this such a what? Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're right. Sorry, Mary's pointing me to change the shot
camera
here.
so I can drink my tea in peace while you read.
Well, let me just talk about it first real quick.
Sure.
I just love this because it allows the characters to be who they are and where they're going, but also just shed light for some expansion and in Harry's doubts. I mean, we've had Harry doubt himself before, but not in a very very distinct and purposeful way like this.
Mm-hmm.
And it just allows for Harry's character to be more than just the chosen one, more than just the boy who lived. It allows him to be the person he actually is. And I think that's just so phenomenal. So let's just take a quick read of this whole beat here. So it goes like this. He was frowning slightly, apparently thinking, and then he said, "That's an idea." "What's an idea?" said Harry. "You," said Ron, "teaching us to do it." But Harry was grinning now. Sure, the pair of them were pulling his leg. "But I'm not a teacher. I can't—" "Harry, you're the best in the year at defense against the dark arts," said Hermione. "Me?" said Harry, now grinning more broadly than ever. "No, I'm not. You've beaten me in every test." "Actually, I haven't," said Hermione coolly. "You beat me in our third year, the only year we both sat the test and had a teacher who actually knew something about the subject. But I'm not talking about test results, Harry. Think what you've done." "How do you mean?" "You know what? I'm not sure I want someone this stupid teaching me," Ron said to Hermione, smirking slightly, and he turned to Harry. Awesome. Hermione using her brain to think, saying, "Yes, actually, if you think about this, Harry, you've done all these great things."
Yep.
Ron coming in, allowing a sense of humor to break up some of the tension between the two, and allow for that personality to come through. "Let's think," he said, pulling a face like Goyle concentrating. First year, you saved the Sorcerer's Stone from you-know-who." "But that was luck," said Harry. "It wasn't skill." "Second year," Ron interrupted, "you killed the basilisk and destroyed Riddle." "Yeah, but if Fawkes hadn't turned up, Third year," said Ron, louder still, "you fought off about 100 Dementors at once. You know, that was a fluke. If the Time Turner hadn't—" "Last year," Ron said, almost shouting now, "you fought off you-know-who again." "Listen to me," said Harry, almost angrily, because Ron and Hermione were both smirking now. "Just listen to me, all right? It sounds great when you say it like that, but all that stuff was luck. I didn't know I was doing half the time. I didn't plan any of it. I just did whatever I could think of, and I nearly always had help." Ron and Hermione was still smirking, and Harry felt his temper rise. He wasn't even sure why he was feeling so angry. Oh my God! Yes. When you're able to get into someone's POV like this and describe a feeling but understand, I'm feeling this and I have no idea why. Mm-hmm. We've all been there. We all can relate to that. And it shows the mass confusion that Harry is going through without you actually having to have it be written in a form of dialogue or set piece or plot device. It just simply is. Don't sit there grinning like you know better than I do. "I was there, wasn't I?" he said heatedly. "I know what went on, all right? And I didn't get through any of that because I was brilliant at defense against the dark arts. I got through it all because help came at the right time, or because I guessed right, but I just blundered through it all. I didn't have a clue what I was doing. Stop laughing." And the bowl of Murtlap essence fell to the floor and smashed. He became aware that he was on his feet, though he couldn't remember standing up. Crookshanks streaked away under a sofa. Ron and Hermione's smiles had vanished. "You don't know what it's like. Neither of you've never had to face him, have you? You think it's just memorizing a bunch of spells and throwing them at him like you're in class or something? The whole time you know there's nothing between you and dying except your own. Your own brain or guts or whatever. Like you can think straight. when you're about a nanosecond from being murdered or tortured or watching your friends die. They've never taught us that in their classes. What's it like to deal with things like that? And you two just sitting there acting like I'm a clever little boy standing up here alive, like Diggory was stupid, like he messed up. You just don't get it. That could have just easily have happened to me. It would have been if Voldemort hadn't needed me. We weren't saying anything like that, mate, said Ron, looking aghast. We weren't having a go at Diggory. We didn't. You've got the wrong end of the. He looked helplessly at Hermione, whose face was stricken. Harry, she said timidly, don't you see? This is exactly why we need you. We need to know what it's really like facing him, facing Voldemort. It was the first time that she had ever said Voldemort's name, and it was this, more than anything else, that calmed Harry. Still breathing hard, he sank back into his chair, becoming aware as he did so that his hand was throbbing horribly again. He wished he had not smashed the bowl of Murlap essence. Well, think about it, said Hermione, quietly. Please? Oh, yes, yes, yes. It's just so good. So good. So good. And it's so good, Marvin, because the dialogue is right on for these characters. It is specific to them. Like, you couldn't imagine Hermione saying what Ron says.
Correct.
And you couldn't imagine Ron saying what Hermione says, right? Mm-hmm. It's natural to those characters. It's fit to that experience of what they're going through at that moment. And there is a natural push and pull. There's a natural attack and defend of the dialogue. Harry is attacking Hermione and Ron. They're defending their ideas. They're pushing back on Harry. It is such an amazing back and forth between the trio that it's showing that they're growing up, but also still allowing for the fact they're still a little naive in the fact that, oh yeah, Harry can do all this. Like, I don't know. What did you think about that give and take?
Oh, I loved it. And I agree with you. Every single bit was completely the character that we have known to grow and love over the past 4.5 books, or 4.25 books. However,
Yeah.
This book's a doozy. And it's just been it's so spot on. And I love that these individuals are now at a point, immaturity-wise, as 15-year-olds, where they can have these frank conversations and lay it all out without necessarily worrying about how someone's going to take it. You know, it's almost like in a sibling way. You know, they've had this long established relationship. And as I said, Harry knows that by Hermione saying the word Voldemort for the first time, that means so much. He has been waiting all these years for her to be able to do that. And we as readers have been waiting for years for her to do that. So between Ron listing all this stuff, being that little angel on his shoulder to be against the devil on the other shoulder, of Harry just saying it's luck, it's luck, it's luck. And Ron's right there saying, no, it isn't, mate. I'm here to pull you through. And Hermione, of course, saying, we need you. Mm-hmm. And you are worthy. Hermione, who puts teachers and tests and books above pretty much all else, is saying, no, you are what is needed. Mm-hmm. I think it's absolutely brilliant.
Yep. Great writing from the author. It's just, again, it's just another reason why this is the best book. It's just one more.
In your opinion.
No.
Oh my goodness.
It is what it is. All right, Marvin, do you want to, you got anything else to say about this chapter?
I do not.
Okay, you ready for a different perspective?
Ooh, okay, yes, sure.
You got to prepare real.
I know.
I'm going to give you 1, 2, 3, this much time. Okay,
Yes.
Here we go. You ready?
Yes.
Holy cricket! You're Harry Potter! I'm Hermione Granger. And you are?
I am Professor McGonagall.
Hey, Minerva!
Yes.
I don't think we've had you on the show yet.
I think I've been here. At
Yeah?
least, I had to have been here at least once.
Even
Even if it was chapter 1 with baby Harry.
That's a fair point. Either way, it's been so long that I don't remember having you on the show. Welcome back.
My Scottish accent is lacking a little bit right now.
Yeah,
Please
yeah.
excuse me. I'm having some green matcha tea instead.
You've been watching a little too much 90210.
Yeah, and I've I haven't had my biscuit today, my shortbread biscuit. So I got to tell you,
Yeah.
in the blank amount of years that I've been here, because it's questionable. In this
it's a little hazy.
In this book is one thing, and Fantastic Beasts is another thing. It's kind of like you don't ask a woman her age.
Yes.
And I just keep people guessing, and I feel like that is a fib that I could tell the High Inquisitor.
Sure, why not?
Quotes, High Inquisitor. Oh my gosh.
How you feeling about Dolores?
I feel like I need to make my own new title.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
Highest
Inquisitor.
Yes. Yes. The ultimate highest Inquisitor of Inquisitors. Bring it.
Double secret probation Inquisitor.
Yes. Oh, my good Lord. You know, it's pretty wild to have this woman who has no idea whatsoever to do with students and children and education. And yet she's got the power to do massive changes to our school, and I am unbelievably upset. It is taking everything within me to not transfigure stuff.
Oh, that would be great.
Like, I want to transfigure all of her kitten teacups into rats. I feel like as a cat lover, she must hate rats.
Yes, I would imagine.
It is, it's also
or
taken,
dogs.
It is taken. Can I be real with you?
What's that?
It has taken truly everything within me to not transfigure myself, of course, into a cat.
Sure,
because that's what
course.
I do.
Yes.
Did you know that me and Mrs. Norris are best friends?
Get out of here! Really?
And cat best friends. Okay, let's have a level. All right.
Yeah,
there's
I
like
know.
there's me and Poppy.
Yeah.
We've got our thing going on.
Well, I mean,
right?
no one would ever question that.
No, I mean HIPAA might question, but let's be real. But then in cat form, if I had to level my cats, Mrs. Norris and I are closer than Crookshanks and I.
Wow. Yeah. See, Crookie is he's a little, you know what? A little judgmental.
I'm mad at Crookie for not telling me about Sirius Black.
Right.
Like, what are you doing? Anyway, nonetheless, I've been able to chat with Mrs. Norris because Mrs. Norris, she's on Team Umbridge. It's kind of like, I guess these muggles have this like election stuff happening, and it's kind of like that when you have people who really are big into Team Blue.
Okay, yep.
And then you have people who are really into Team Red.
Yep.
But you're friends, and you have to have that awkward conversation of like, do we talk about this?
Yes, right.
Do we talk about the elephant in the room that is known as Umbridge?
Right.
So me and Mrs. Norris will go, we'll bask in the sunshine, we'll pull off fleas off each other. We do things.
Right. But there's an unspoken line there that you don't cross.
But she is Team Umbridge because of Filch.
Right.
And she's got, because Umbridge knows cats, she has like the best cat snacks.
You know, who's giving you cat snacks?
Nobody.
Nobody.
Well, that's what my biscuits are for. Okay. When I want snacks, I turn back into me. But I've sometimes thought, so I don't think Umbridge remembers or maybe has read upon what I can do.
Sure. Yeah.
There have been times that I have really wanted to go sneak into cat form just to go and see what that girl is up to. Because she loves cats. She probably wouldn't care. If me and Mrs. Norris just walk in and she pets us.
I was just going to say, how you feeling if she pets you?
Are
you going to allow it?
If I can get information like she's allergic to peanuts or something, I'm in. I am in.
You know what I feel like?
What?
You know what you should do?
Secret Agent McGonagall.
I feel like Secret Agent McGonagall should go pee in a corner in her desk.
Because she has those fluffy rugs. She brought in all those fluffy rugs.
And the cat pee never goes away.
It never goes away.
It never goes away.
And you kind of question where it is if you do it in multiple places. Because she's going to think it's in one...
Right.
Blake? Once again, I don't have my Scottish accent. But I, Minerva McGonagall, in my cat form, have a job to do.
You're going to go mark your territory.
I need to drink... Oh, my goodness gracious. I need to drink some extra tea so that I can extra pee.
Oh!
Hey! Cheers.
All right. You know what, Mary? You get an outstanding for that one. Oh, I'm going to go take care of our dog. I'll be right back.
Okay.
All right. Come on. All right, fine. We're going to go outside. Relax.
Hey, everybody. So, very excited to be delving even more into this chapter, into this book. We're going to have our little lad back on soon. He's been asking. So for those of you who enjoy his perspective, we're going to have to make sure that we can save some room for him.
Speaking of that, we got some some emails. You ready?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, Mail's here.
All right, this one comes from Sophia. She says,
Sophia.
"Hello, Mary and Blake. I have 2 questions. 1, did you know that the presents that Harry gets from the Dursleys represents the Deathly Hallows? It's a tissue for the cloak, a penny for the stone, a toothpick for the wand. Get out of here.
Love it.
Love that. Great job.
Love it. Love
Number
it.
2, I have listened to all of your Potterverse episodes so many times that I listen to them 24/7.
You are like our children listening to Jim Dale.
Yeah, or David Tennant for How to Train Your Dragon. I love the podcast. You have brought my Lumos in a time of Nox. Thank you so much. From Sophia. And P.S., guess how old Sophia is?
I have no idea. I don't know.
11 years old.
Sophia.
11.
Sophia, what house are you in? And I hope that you don't start to get a Rhode Island accent from listening to us that much.
Whoa. Time out. She's getting the Rhode Island accent from you.
Boston accent from Blake.
Let's just be honest here. Let's keep it 100.
What house are you in, Sophia? And do you also like Percy Jackson series books, or are you just Harry Potter?
Good point.
Just wondering, because we got something.
We got something
brewing.
cooking.
We got something brewing.
A brewing, if you will. All right, this one comes from Serena. She says, I have a question for Chapter 14 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. If you were Peeves, instead of dropping the Paracelsus on someone, what
That's murder.
very dangerous prank would you play? And who is the one person that would be able to stop you? It'd be so cool if you did this question on the next podcast, because I just love your podcast so much. It's a Lumos in my time of Nox and the Rowena to my Ravenclaw.
Oh.
She is a Ravenclaw, so I wanted to see if that would work.
Okay,
Okay.
sweet. Okay,
Go ahead.
I would make icy spots out of nowhere on the grounds because it's Scotland, so it gets snowy and stuff, but I would have them fall into the lake.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah, I'd have like a massive slip slide, like in the movie Jack Frost, the Guardians
Yep.
movie, and how he's able to make all this ice, and the kid goes sledding and goes
Yeah.
over. I would do that, but make people I don't like fall into the lake.
Or like Frozen when what's her name is doing the
Elsa.
things, Elsa, but you actually hit the person instead.
I would not do that. I would put it on the ground to make them fall, so they wouldn't look around. They would just think, because that was one of my favorite things to do in college when I was an RA. Yes, I
Shoot
was an
ice
RA.
out of your hands?
No,
Oh.
my office overlooked this one patch near our dorm.
Time
that
out.
was a
Time
secret-
out.
Yes.
Time out. You had an office?
Your RAs didn't have office hours?
No, they had office hours. It was in their dorm room.
No, we had a straight up regular office that we had to be in. So if you get locked out, or if you need banana coverings, if you had issues with a roommate, anything like that, you were good to go. You just knew there's going to be office hours and
Yeah.
someone's going to be there, but you didn't have to go to their room. I don't want people coming to my room. They do that enough. That my room was small. I
Yeah,
went to
that's true.
I went to a state school, Blake. I know that you lived you guys had like a great common room. You people.
We didn't have. What do you mean, you people?
You know. You private school people. It was me, my bed, my desk, and my giant harp, plus my illegal tortoise in my room, okay? I didn't want anybody coming in there.
Of course, you had a giant harp in your room.
People still come up to me and they'll be like, "Do you remember, Mary?" I'm like, "Of course I remember. I had a giant harp in my room." What do you mean? Do you remember that you had a harp? Yes.
You had a harp in your room.
Oh, like not a lap harp, a floor one with pedals.
How did I not know that?
Yep. Because you can't like bring it around on campus. So I had one that I could play in the music department. I had one that I played at my private teacher's house, and then I had one in my room. In my room, which was about the size of our studio.
Oh my god.
Yep. So people would come in after hours, because that's the other thing, is that if you had if your door was closed, you didn't have to answer as an RA. They could come during office hours. So
That's wild.
anyway,
you had an
during my
office.
Yes.
You had a harp in your room.
Listen, man. Okay,
What,
let me
did-
get to my subject. So in my office hours in the winter, I would look out the window to this sneaky patch of sloped land
Okay.
that always had runoff water and was ice, and I would just see how many people fell. It was so fun. I mean, they had backpacks, so they wouldn't
Sure.
really hurt themselves because they would fall on their backpack, but it was awesome. Like, I think it must have been people who didn't come from icy, snowy areas because we all know.
Yeah.
We all know to be prepared. You walk like a penguin in the winter.
Yes.
These people were just slip and sliding all over the place. So that's what I would do. What would be your peeves prank that you would do, Blake?
Oh, that's a good one. Actually, I have a quick story about someone falling. So I went to school in Manchester, New Hampshire, and it snowed a lot, and it was very cold for about, I would say 3/4. Mary just got up. She's just wrecking the whole studio. So it's very cold for about 3/4 of the year of the school year. And we had this big, huge quad in the middle of our campus, which was the original grounds of my school. And for some reason, there was this little freshman kid. I had a room my sophomore year my freshman year that overlooked the big quad.
Your freshman year?
Yeah.
Okay.
And there was this little freshman kid.
Picture Colin Creevy?
Yeah, like
Okay.
a little Colin Creevy.
Right.
He was out in the middle of the quad. It was in the morning. And I just happened to be looking out over the quad. The kid fell in the middle of the quad and broke his leg.
No.
And he is out there, and nobody else is out on the quad, and he is just screaming for dear life. This poor kid broke his leg. He couldn't walk because it was all snow and ice.
And what did you do?
Nothing.
Oh my God. Are you serious?
I'm 100%
I am
serious.
seriously rethinking our marriage right
And
now.
but then eventually somebody else found him, and they took care of him.
It was a Mary. It was a Mary found him.
Off to the rescue.
I mean, yes, I laughed when people fell, but once again, it was a
What
small
am I going to
thing
do?
with their backpack.
I'm going to go
You
out there. I'm going to look
out-
at the kid. I'm going to say, hey, that sucks.
You go out there and you tell him he's not alone. He's probably crying for his mom. Oh, good Lord. The poor thing.
Hey, buddy.
Blake.
Hey, that leg,
Oh, guys,
that
I'm-
looks messed up.
I'm just saying,
Woo,
do
boy.
not be left.
Hey, I wouldn't walk on that leg if I were you. I would just stay there right there, right there in the snow.
Oh my gosh,
At least-
I doubt
at least you
so
might
many
go
of
numb.
my choices being with you right now. Oh.
What am I gonna do? Am I
things.
gonna reset his femur?
You're going to give him emotional support and call 911
He
because
can't
you
even
had
hear
a
nothing.
phone.
The kid just snapped his femur in half.
Yes,
You think he's
Blake.
gonna hear my voice be like, "Oh, it's okay, buddy"?
He will feel a lot better.
Seriously, somebody
Can you
eventually
just
got
move
there.
on? I'm actually disappointed in you as a human
Campus
being.
security got
Blake.
there. They got an ambulance out. They
Blake,
took
I am
him to the
disappointed
hospital.
in you as a human being. Please move on.
What am I gonna do?
What is your prank? I mean, actually, no. You don't even deserve a prank because you already did one to that poor child. Moving on. Gosh. My gosh. Imagine him being a podcast listener. Yes.
That was me.
Oh, God. Just move on, Blake. I'm so disappointed.
All right, this one comes from Andrew. He says, hello, Mary and Blake. I wanted to reach out and thank you for your content in Harry Potter. Recently, my father became very sick and passed away unexpectedly. Being able to drive from Fort Wayne to Columbus, I was able to get lost in your podcast, forgetting everything going on for my life for a little bit. I work as a healthcare professional in the emergency medicine, and I often see terrible things at work, like kids who break their legs in the middle of the quad. And the laughs and the thought-provoking insight I get while listening to your podcast, going to and from work, has helped me in coping with the stress and being able to leave my stress at work.
This person doesn't want to listen to you anymore, Blake.
Thank you for your podcast. I hope to begin branching out to your other podcasts soon. Your friend, Andrew. Andrew, thank you so much. Listen.
Thank you, Andrew, for all you do, helping
Yes.
people. And I'm so sorry about the loss of your dad.
Oh, yeah, that's tough, man.
Blake has said before, he lost his mom at a relatively young age.
Yep.
And especially as we go into the holiday season, we hope we continue to bring you some more Lumos.
Yes.
As I know the holidays after, especially the first year after you lose someone, can be difficult. So know that we are sending you love and light and Lumos.
And we got plenty of podcasts for you to listen to and get
Yes.
lost in. So go to maryandblake.com, shameless plug, and check them all out there. All right, that's it. That's all we got for the emails today.
Okay.
All right, you ready to close this bad boy out?
I am.
All right. Why don't we say I changed the camera angle? I did. Here we are.
I can't believe you. When
What?
when I was hit by a car and I had broken legs,
Uh-huh.
people actually came over and comforted me while I waited.
Well, yeah,
for the
you were in the middle of a
ambulance.
street,
Yes, Blake.
a main road.
Anyway, it was so helpful. Yes, my leg was broken too. As someone who had a broken leg, I can tell you, strangers coming up to console you and just to let you know that help is on the way makes it feel so much better, because the minutes you wait for help and like an ambulance feels like eternity. So, you're welcome, Blake. Let's wrap up this show.
It reminded me. Do you
You
remember
would have just
Austin
gone.
Powers?
You would have just gone and been like, "Pisky, oh, can't do anything for you. Bye." Little Boston Blake.
I would have done the what's it called there? The charm that what's his name did to Harry to remove all of his bones.
Gilderoy Lockhart.
Gilderoy Lockhart, thank you.
Yes.
No, it actually reminded me. Remember Austin Powers with Will Ferrell?
I don't even want to talk about this anymore. It's upsetting me. It
And
really
Will Ferrell's
is.
like, I'm very, very badly burned. It hurts so much.
Gosh, Blake, I'm serious.
Okay. All right. Let's close it out.
My children listen to this podcast after I've passed. Children, please be like me. Be like Mama.
Don't be like your dad.
Don't be like Dada.
Hey,
On that note, thank you so much for tuning in. As I said earlier in the podcast, minutewithmary.com is a one-stop shop this particular month in November of 2023, but honestly in any month. So if you have questions, you can message me and email me at minutewithmary@gmail.com. And we want to thank you so much for checking this all out. Thanks to our friends at jointhenerdclan.com. You'll be able to get some holiday cards for those of you who are at the level, and also a present. And I will say that there will be a little nod for those of you who are Potterverse listeners in the present. So make sure you check that on out at jointhenerdclan.com. On that note, my name is Mary.
My name is Blake.
Mischief managed.